I did this 3 times on Saturday. I understand not long after Maggie Walker died, when she died in the early 1930s, it started getting overgrown because for various reasons the owners of the cemetery, and there's been quite a few as I understand, did not have money to maintain the cemetery. And so it just slowly fell into the condition it is now. You know, I have not been able to find any pictures of the cemetery, what it looked like before it got overgrown.
Evergreen Cemetery, this is a community, again, that doesn't have the economic resources that the white community has. And so, for whatever reason, they did not establish a perpetual care fund at Evergreen. The cemetery starts to decline in the 1950s, 1960s. There's no real institutional base there for that cemetery to draw on. They don't have those funds to keep it up. And so it's essentially down to the hands of the families to keep up the individual plots.
If you look at when the cemetery really started to decline, it was when African Americans were moving out of the South and into the North for economic opportunity. So maybe everybody in the family either died off or moved away and there was nobody left to maintain that family plot.
We see some graves just kind of get lost in the shuffle. And even graves such as the Walker's site or John Mitchell's site, there's just not the families around any longer to go up there to take care of it and keep it in condition. And obviously the city has not made it a priority to try to take up some of that slack either.
The cemetery has one mausoleum, that would be the Braxton Mausoleum. In 1978, the Braxton Mausoleum was broken into and vandalized. The bodies were pulled out of the mausoleum and the bones were set afire.
Now the bones were laying over here on Saturday. I don't know if somebody came in here and knew it and moved them or what. When I first got here, the hole was only half a block in size. This hole has gotten this big only in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, Jackson Ward to us today has a lot of historic interest. It has ties back to the early 20th century when Maggie Walker and A.D. Price and John Mitchell Jr., some of these real celebrities of the African American community and pioneers, created an incredible community there. And so the 1920s in Jackson Ward, historians and I think students and preservationists and community groups get very excited about, because on the one hand, this is a place in Richmond, a city that has closed a lot of opportunities for blacks. They have effectively been disenfranchised. There's on the books legal discrimination in terms of Jim Crow, segregation, but within the constraints of that, the black community is able to build just a phenomenal business and social atmosphere. There's all kinds of community groups and organizations, beneficial organizations that serve the black community, stores, banks, lawyers, doctors, architects, and so it becomes, again, ironically, here at one of the low points of America's race relations, a real kind of shining example of what the black community could do for itself at that time.
It's the stories that go along with the people that makes Richmond's history so interesting and fascinating. And to me, the African American history just doesn't get enough recognition. And so this is why I've pushed for so many years to get Evergreen restored, because it's those stories and those people that's going to bring more and more people in. Virginia Roots is the organization that was founded to restore the cemetery.
Just recently, the folks that give us the dumpsters are donated by Waste Associates, and they just recently gave us a little, what do you want to call it, grant. It's really the first significant money we've gotten that we could buy some stuff. Otherwise, we beg for it.
There's really only a core team of about 10 people that are volunteering and actually clearing. John has done a lot of work kind of leveraging our volunteer efforts and bringing in big groups to do massive cleanup days. The cemetery is 60 acres, and if maybe we've cleared 3 acres, and that ground will grow back. It grows back very quickly. Already stuff we cut to the ground in March has grown, 2 or 3 feet high.
There are 5,000 people laid to rest that we know of in Evergreen Cemetery. Among that 5,000, we know that at least 1,000 achieved international acclaim. We have researchers in the Library of Virginia now trying to find and locate all of the people, and it's not a small project. It's going to take at least 20 years to get through it.
So you're just going to keep doing this?
I guess as long as I'm physically able to and don't get discouraged.
As dark a cloud as hangs over Evergreen right now in terms of its upkeep and the loss of so many of those markers in the midst of that wilderness right now, unfortunately, the silver lining is that we may be in a historic moment here. I don't know if I allowed myself to be that optimistic yet, but we may be at the start of bringing back that cemetery to a place again that we could all be really, really proud of. And I think that little stories like the Finding Pearl monument or bringing back a Maggie Walker's site do give me hope and make me think that, well, at a minimum, it's doing something very positive right now for the Richmond community. It's getting church groups and community groups and students out there getting their hands dirty with the city's history and clearing it off is something that the city can feel really good about, whether they're black or white or new to the city or old to the city. So as difficult as it is to see the cemetery in its condition right now, it's also exciting to think about what it might look like even better in 5 years and what my students have gotten out of their volunteer work there right now.